Predictably, Donald Trump responded on Twitter. Quote, Congressman John Lewis should spend more time on fixing and helping his district, which is in horrible shape and falling apart, not to mention crime-ridden, rather than falsely complaining about the election results. All talk, 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 no actions or results. Sad. Bringing the panel, Brian Hook served as an advisor to Mitt Romney during the 2012 elections. Al Motter served on the Clinton campaign's national finance team. Gentlemen, nice to see you, especially Al from where it's a little bit warmer.
Great to be here.
All right, really, Al, not a legitimate president? And you're going to defend this, I'm guessing.
I will, Leland, because first of all, John Lewis is a patriot and a man with a conscience, and we should take what he says seriously. He does not act lightly. This is a man who was arrested 45 times fighting for civil rights, a man who's faced death, a man who stood up for civil rights and human rights for the past half century.
Does that mean that everything he says is right? I'm waiting for the defense of what he said, not who he is as a man.
So you and I don't really know all the facts that he has heard. He participated in a briefing, intelligence briefing the other day, in which they were shared information that's classified, and he has concluded post that briefing that the election perhaps was fixed in part by the Russians, and so I'll give deference to his conclusion. He's no one who, when he says things, you cannot take it lightly, and so I take what he says quite seriously.
Brian, are we to believe that of all the people who have received this intelligence briefing, it is Mr. Lewis who is the unitary arbiter, that somehow this wasn't a fair election, even though we have the entire intelligence community saying not one vote was changed by a foreign power?
Yeah, I agree with that. I take a different view in terms of what Al said. Democrats are having a very hard time accepting the outcome. And before the election in October and November, when they thought they were going to win, they were pressuring Donald Trump to promise to accept the outcome. We had a result, and now the Democrats can't accept the outcome. And it is not productive or helpful for anybody to be delegitimizing the outcome of the election. I think we ought to be focusing on the peaceful transfer of power, and I think all members of Congress should be attending the inauguration. And that is really regardless of party.
Al, at some level, isn't this playing exactly into what the Russians want to do? We know through their disinformation campaigns their idea is to sort of sow discontent and sow doubt about America's democracy. And it seems as though Congressman Lewis, and by extension you, are doing exactly what they say their intended goals are.
But even, Leland, if we walk down that path, we have to walk where the facts take us. So there's a reason the Senate Intelligence Committee has opened a bipartisan inquiry into whether or not some folks in the campaigns were inappropriately talking to the Russians during the election. There's a reason that they've opened an inquiry with subpoena power and have said that they're going to talk to people in the incoming administration. It's not about delegitimizing the election. Donald Trump is the president. He's a legitimate president.
But
There's going to
Brian,
be a peaceful transition of power.
Brian, I'm going to give you 1 second. I want to ask Al one more question here. I'll give you the last word. Al, I am guessing that if the positions had been reversed and Hillary Clinton had won, and there were Republican congressmen saying this was not a legitimate election and saying that she was not going to be a legitimate president, you would probably be having a very different tone than, oh, gee, they may know something that we don't.
It depends on the facts, Leland. There's Republicans who are calling for these investigations, not Democrats. Senator Burr, Senator Graham, Senator McCain, those aren't Democrats.
None of the people calling for these investigations have suggested that it would change the outcome of the election. None of them.
That's true, because what they're trying to do is not worry about that, but focus on whether or not we had some sort of conspiracy or collusion between campaigns and a foreign government bent on, as you say, disrupting our democratic processes. If that happened, that's a problem, and we need to get to the bottom of it.
Brian, let's just assume everything that Al's saying is true for a moment, whether or not it is up for debate in some cases. If everything he's saying is true, does that make Congressman Lewis's comments appropriate, or still do you say, hey, look, you got to back off here and get behind the president, at least out, no shooting inside the tent, if you will?
Yeah, his comments are inappropriate. It's perfectly fine to be concerned about foreign interference, Russian interference in an election. But there is a distinction between interfering and stealing an election. And Lewis's comments saying that Trump was not legitimately elected suggests that the Russians elected Trump. Trump won the Electoral College by a wide margin, And relitigating this over and over again doesn't advance the cause for anybody. We do need to get to the bottom of this. Obama should never have let Russia interfere with our elections. And we need to get to the bottom of it. Russia needs to be punished for any actions it took. But we've got to make distinctions between interference and
Brian,
stealing.
Al, got to run, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Al, enjoy the rest of your vacation, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.